Happy Monday, family. This is Neil Adler with another episode of Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. It is Monday, August 24th. We're going to be in September next week. What is going on? This summer, I'll tell you. What summer? This is Syracuse Central. We talk about Syracuse sports here and anything else in life you want to rap about. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We are on Apple and Spotify. Huge shout out to Cuse for sponsoring Syracuse Central. Much love, my friends over at Cuse. All right. This is all anyone is going to talk about. It's life. It is what it is. But it's a shame that we are literally days away. I think pretty sure there's actual games this week in terms of the 2026 college football season. Syracuse doesn't play until September 5th, but there are games this weekend, and I'm pretty sure there's some games this week. It might be more like, not power conference teams, maybe starting Thursday. But what we're talking about is eligibility and 5-for-5 and lawsuits and the NCAA and attorneys and just a bunch of stuff that has obviously something to do with football and other sports in college, but it's like in the courtroom, not on the field. And that stinks. So the latest is, and this dropped on Friday after we did Friday's show, and I was kind of busy working the phones over the weekend. Working the phones. So the long and short is this. Okay. Let me try and I'm trying to like not dumb it down, but just like kind of keep it layman's terms. In late June, the NCAA approved its 5-for-5 eligibility model, which we've talked about a little bit on Syracuse Central. Meaning that they're doing away, unless there's an extenuating circumstance, with red shirts and waivers and all that stuff. You have 5 years to play up to 5 seasons if you want to play 5 seasons. When they approved that, they said that class of 2022 athletes who have played 4 seasons already and just finished up this past 2025-26 sports season don't get a 5th year. Well, some people, athletes, attorneys, other stakeholders, think that's arbitrary and unfair. I would tend to agree, and I think this whole thing could have been avoided if they had just granted 2022 athletes, if they wanted one, a 5th year. They didn't, the NCAA, and now here we are. Lawsuits at the federal level, state levels, nonsense, I shouldn't say nonsense, just legal stuff. And so in late July, a federal judge, let me make sure I get the court right. I always forget her name. Judge Sweeney, right? U.S. District Court of Colorado Judge Charlotte Sweeney, in late July, she issued a preliminary injunction, a class-wide injunction that gave a 5th season of eligibility to these 2022 athletes, provided they won one, and there are certain parameters surrounding that. The NCAA, and then you're also getting a lot of these state lawsuits. The NCAA had requested to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit in Denver, in Colorado, that there be a stay, which is a temporary pause of this injunction that was issued by Sweeney until the case is heard on appeal. That stay was granted on Friday, which means that 2022 athletes who are relying solely on the preliminary federal injunction, and the case is called, let me make sure, I always mispronounce this, Wisney versus NCAA. Any 2022 athlete who is relying solely on Wisney versus NCAA and the preliminary injunction there is at the moment ineligible because the injunction has been temporarily paused until they have an appeal process. For Syracuse purposes, the main 2 people that we've been talking about are Syracuse football wide receiver Justice Ross Simmons, who played his senior year this past season, and Amari Monroe, a transfer forward from Quinnipiac who has played 4 seasons in college, 3 at Quinnipiac and 1 at Wofford, I believe. To the best of my knowledge, as of this taping on Monday morning, neither has filed any sort of lawsuit at the state level or attached their name to an existing lawsuit, injunction, etc. I talked to multiple attorneys over the weekend. I've tried to get in touch with Justice and or his family representation. Same with Amari. Reached out to some folks. Not have not heard anything definitive as of yet, and I'm sure there are other reporters out there doing the same. So the bottom line is this: the appeals process for the federal preliminary injunction that was stayed on Friday is the appeal process will be expedited, but we don't know, or at least as of this morning, Monday morning, we didn't know like when the oral, initial arguments would be heard. Multiple attorneys told me it could take weeks, if not more than that, stretching out later into the fall for the appeal to run its course, the process that is at the federal level. For someone like Justice Ross Simmons, who is playing in the trying to play in the 2026 college football season, which again starts later this week for some teams, Justice doesn't have months if he wants to play the bulk of the season. So attorneys that I spoke with said that the most realistic thing for JRS, Amari has a little bit more time because the season doesn't start till early November. Obviously, they'll have exhibitions in October and preseason practices before that. But the next course of action, most realistic for JRS, is to file a lawsuit in a state court. I would assume New York, but I don't know that for sure. And or attach his name to an existing injunction. Now, a couple of attorneys I spoke with said that adding your name to an existing injunction, depending on the state court, can take weeks, if not a month or more. Filing your own lawsuit, it sounds like you can get that done quicker if you have an attorney who he or she knows what they're doing. At least that's according to attorneys that I spoke to. It's a mess. It's a mess, and I don't know legally if JRS and Amari are allowed to continue practicing with their respective teams this week. I've got messages out to the ACC, the NCAA, SU Athletics, SU Compliance. I haven't been able to get in touch with Amari or Justice. I've tried to get in touch with people in their camps or within their families. I haven't heard back from anyone. And frankly, they might not want to talk to me or talk to anyone because they might not know what they want to do right now, and that's totally cool. But the bottom line is attorneys also told me over the weekend that you're going to see more state-related lawsuits this week. There's been a handful in different states where there have been favorable outcomes for plaintiffs, whether it's an injunction, temporary restraining order, whatever. Now you're seeing stuff where I think there might be an NFL player who's trying to come back. I mean, the whole thing is just a ridiculous mess. And we talked about where's the line drawn and all that. And I really feel like someone that's played an NFL game or an NBA game shouldn't be. But then again, if you have overseas players playing pro over there, it comes down to what kind of income they're making and other factors that are frankly over my head. So look, it's a fluid situation. Friday's stay was obviously not good news for 2022 athletes who are trying to play a fifth season and have not been attached to a state level injunction, filed with their own lawsuit, etc. And as we've talked about, former Syracuse basketball guard J.J. Starling reportedly has added his name to an injunction in California, so he might be in a better, and he's entered the portal according to reports, so he might be in a better spot right now than Amari and or JRS. But let's see how this all plays out. It's a shame that this is going to be like a dominant story, especially as the season starts. Obviously, I want both those guys, if they want to play and the teams want them to play, then I want them to be able to play too. But it's, time is definitely of the essence for Justice Ross Simmons. So we'll see. We'll see. It's it's a mess. What an absolute mess. All right. More to come. So, I'm 48. I am 48, almost 49. I've got a son. I don't eat unhealthy, although sometimes I can stress eat a little bit. I don't drink a lot of alcohol, here and there. I try and run or jog every morning. But even with all that, if I'm being real with you, I need to lose weight. most of my, knock on wood, my health related numbers, are good. I have high cholesterol. That's part of family history and maybe stress and stuff too. But the whole thing about like dad bods and something like that. Yeah, I get poked at a little bit by my son, and that's okay. It's probably deserving. But I guess what I'm trying to say here though is as we get older, especially with men, well, I'm talking about men here because I'm a guy. So, you talk about metabolism and testosterone, and as you get older, it becomes easier to gain fat, especially kind of in the stomach area, which I definitely have. Um, and so it can also be like a cycle for someone like me where, like, I'm not obese, but I definitely need to I could lose like 20 pounds. And if you're gaining weight and then it's harder to, your testosterone is converting to estrogen, and then it's even easier to gain more fat. It can be a kind of a vicious cycle. So, um, Mars Men is a natural supplement out there designed to support healthy testosterone levels, and that can help your body burn fat more efficiency, build muscle. Um, Mars Men there's no like stuff like weird stuff in there, synthetic hormones, stimulants, etc. It's been third party tested, um, real natural ingredients. It's got a 90-day money back guarantee. There's no risk. Worst case, you don't love it, and then you get your money back. More than 91% of users report higher energy levels. Plenty of guys out there feeling incredible results. You can go to the website and check out the reviews. For a limited time, our listeners on Syracuse Central and throughout the Fan Arch Network get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off, 3 free gifts when you check out. If and when you purchase something, it might be a good idea. They will ask you where you heard about them. Please mention Syracuse Central and, most importantly, the Fan Arch Network. And like I said, I don't mind having a little bit of pudge, but I could definitely lose a few pounds. And I run every day. I'm old. What are you going to do? All right, my friends. From Mars Men, we move to Syracuse women's basketball. And so, as we've talked about, Syracuse women's basketball is kind of, been releasing non-conference games one by one. And late last week, it came across that the Orange is going to host Cornell out of the Ivy League on Sunday, November 8th. We don't know the tip-off or broadcast information yet. The teams haven't played since December 2023 when Syracuse beat Cornell at the Dome, 78-71. And did I say, sorry, this year's matchup will be at the Dome as well. All-time, Syracuse is 18-3 against Cornell. Syracuse has beaten the Big Red 9 straight times. Cornell was not good last year, 9-18 overall. Syracuse, as we've talked about many times, 24-9. Reached the second round of the NCAA tournament. Here's what we know so far about Syracuse women's basketball's non-conference schedule. Syracuse will play UConn at the Mohegan Sun in Uncasville, Connecticut, Monday, October 12th. That's an exhibition. And then the regular season games, hosting Sacred Heart, November 3rd, hosting Cornell, November 8th, hosting Canisius, November 15th, hosting Oklahoma in the ACC SEC Challenge on December 3rd, heading to nearby, like 10 minutes away, Lemoyne on December 16th. Now, one other nugget that I thought was kind of cool, and so I happened to notice, when I do these articles or just do these reports on here about, whatever team it might be, I always pull up the schedule on the SU Athletics website. And I noticed on there that they mentioned that Syracuse women's basketball appears to be playing in the Discover Puerto Rico Shootout, which is in San Juan, from November 25th to November 27th, which is, I believe, around the Thanksgiving holiday. There was no opponents listed there. I tried to catch up with a Syracuse women's basketball spokesperson over the weekend. Didn't hear back. It was the weekend. I get that. But I did trade texts with I guess, the media representative for the event, for the Discover Puerto Rico shootout. Get it out there, man. She confirmed to me that Syracuse is playing, so I've got that down, and that the rest of the field would likely be announced later in the week. So once I hear back on that, I will definitely talk more about who the field is and who Syracuse is likely expected to play. Last year, just giving you an idea, the Discover Puerto Rico shootout, the teams were Central Florida, East Carolina, Illinois State, Kentucky, Maryland, Morgan State, Rice, and Wake Forest. So again, I think that's cool that they're going to this. Although I will say that based on Syracuse men's basketball's experience with the Players Era Festival in Las Vegas last year, playing three really good teams back to back to back, losing all three, playing tough in two of them, and tough in one half of the other one, and then getting blown out by Iowa State. Part of me just likes more one-off games that are spread out versus back to back to back. But let's see who Syracuse women's basketball is playing. And if you have never been to San Juan, I haven't been in years, but it's pretty gorgeous. Pretty freaking gorgeous. Okay, we're gonna pivot here for a second to some football stuff because I think this is cool, and I feel like maybe we've mentioned it in the past, but Syracuse football is going to play Wake Forest in Canada in late August of the 2027 season. The game is being branded as the Toronto Kickoff. It is on Saturday. It will be on Saturday, August 28th, 2027 at BMO Field in Toronto. Wake Forest is the home team. It is an ACC contest. BMO Field hosts is the home of Toronto FC in the MLS, Toronto Argonauts in the CFL. There was World Cup 2026 World Cup games there earlier this summer. The capacity, it looks like they are already selling tickets on Ticketmaster or one of the places I went. The capacity for the stadium is 26,050, so that's not huge, but I still think it's kind of cool. It's going to be on ESPN or ABC. And organizers have said that it's the first NCAA college football game played at BMO Field. Syracuse and Wake Forest don't play this season. Syracuse all-time is 7-6 against the Demon Deacons. Last time they played was November 2023 when Syracuse beat Wake Forest 35-31 at the Dome. I think that might have been the first game after Dino Babers was let go, if my memory is correct. Sorry if I'm not. But anyway, so we know Syracuse is, going to a 3 non-conference, 9 ACC game docket for this season. So for next year, 2027, their 3 non-conference are Penn State, Connecticut, and reportedly Fordham. So anyway, I think this is, look, it's it's an ACC game that's in Toronto. So it's kind of like a neutral site game, but let's be honest, Syracuse, the university, I'm pretty sure is closer to Toronto than Wake Forest is, and Syracuse recruits both football and the basketball teams, etc. They recruit guys from Canada extensively. I'm not saying it's a home game for Syracuse, but I don't look at it as like a road game either, even though Wake Forest is the home team. I like it. I like it. I mean, it's unfortunate. Well, we'll see what if it's sold out or not, but I feel like they could sell more than 26,000 tickets. But anywho, kind of cool though. Kind of cool. What do y'all think? Do you like it? I mean, the fact that they're playing a ACC game in Toronto, I mean, I think I like that. That's more appealing to me. I know they have games in like Ireland and other places, and look, Dublin is dope, and I'd love to go there, but it's also, that's just crazy travel and all that. So I don't know. This is kind of like a cool, I want to say, compromise. I think it's cool. Anyway, let me know what you think. Are you going to go? I know it's a little ways out, but let me know what you think. Okay. College football is back, and so are the predictions. Who makes the playoffs? Who wins their conference? Who takes home the national title? On Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, it lets you trade those predictions in a live market. Okay. I'm looking at... Okay, so In the ACC, on August 29th, which is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that Saturday? I think that's Saturday, yeah. NC State and Virginia. I believe it's at Virginia. Virginia is trading at a 66% probability, meaning, so it looks like a $100 trade would pay out $147.99, $147.99 if the Cavaliers are victorious. Okay, it's kind of a fun, ACC game to start the season. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position, trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use code FANARCHCollege. That's FANARCHCollege to get $20 when you trade $20. Kalshi, Calshi. Kalshi, trade on anything. All right. Why is this not working? Because I'm doing the same thing over and over again because you're a knucklehead. Sorry. I'm bad with technology. I'll get it straight. All right. So let's look at some viewer comments. Y'all had a lot to say about the eligibility stuff and the line being crossed and everything on Friday. So let's get into that. FW Kwai says the line should be signing any type of NBA contract. And I get all that. Again, FW Kwai, though, like, if you've signed an NBA contract or an NFL contract, I know those are obviously US-based sports leagues. How does that differ? And I'm not, like, directing this question to you. I'm just talking out loud. How does that differ from people that had pro contracts in Europe or somewhere international and then came over? I don't know. I'm just talking out loud. I do not have the answer. But thanks for the comment, FWQI. You Can't Fix Stupid says, hey, Neil, anytime the NCAA gets involved with anything, you can be sure it won't get messed up and take forever to resolve. What a country. Thanks for the video. I feel you there, my friend. Oh, I love this. Reggie8240. I don't know if we've spoken before, Reggie, but thanks for chiming in. Ask Boeheim his thoughts. He was pretty good at saying what should happen. It's not a bad idea. My man Mike Gross, I believe, was with his niece. We food toured Awesome Square Pizza, Mama's, super pricey, Pacilio's New York Suprema Pizza, Van Leeuwen ice cream. Still I have half my Pacilio's panini, but killed everything else. Today is a fasting day. As to the treatment of former players, you make a very valid point. I think we as fans see college no differently than pro ball at this point. It's beyond mere tribalistic. If you stink on our team or leave, it's always a big F you with a don't let the door hit you on the butt on your way out. There are no well wishes being given or thanks for trying. I think it's the state of college sports and the NIL age, which has made this bad situation far worse. Now there's general vitriol for the Donnie Freemans and other past players, which is just sad but true observation of not just our fan base, but fan bases everywhere. Totally right. If you're not with us, you're against us. Big eye roll. And I can't believe they revoked Amari Monroe's eligibility in JRS. Ridiculous. I feared this. I hate the NCAA. First of all, Pizza Suprema is my favorite of all time, but I love some of these other ones. Second of all, you're right. There's definitely fans out there that once a Donnie Freeman transfers and people assume it's for more money or whatever, they're like, F you. And I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, but you know what I'm saying. Like, and I don't know. I'm not rooting for St. John's to beat Syracuse when they play in mid-November at MSG, but I'm also not crapping on the kid or the young man. He's just doing what's best for him, just like anyone else. So, but I get fans that feel that way. I don't care if fans say like, "Oh, I don't need to root for him," or "I don't, follow what they do. I don't care about them anymore." Fine, but like when they start calling them like names, I'm like, why are you even doing that? Like, you don't know the situation of why Donnie left or why most of these kids left. We don't know. And obviously, a lot of it could be money driven, but we don't know. So anyway, that's a great point. In terms of Amari and JRS, as we talked about, Mike, it's not that their eligibility has been revoked. It's just that, or revoked. Did I say invoked? Revoked? I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just that the class wide in the 2022 class, the class wide injunction that was issued late last month has been stayed, has been paused while it's on appeal. So those are semantics, but that is it totally. Attorneys told me that it could be that it's an expedited appeals process, and it could be that the 10th Circuit Court during the appeal ultimately doesn't overturn the injunction. It's just that could be a month from now or 3 months from now, and that's a problem in terms of timing. So, but I appreciate you, Mike. Kenny D, my man, writes, anyone deemed eligible before the 5-and-5 rule was announced, Moreno and Sibby is not relevant. In my opinion, the NCAA would be advised to grant a couple of dozen class of 22 players who have not flirted with pros here or overseas. Monroe has never transferred and did not sully his amateur status. The NCAA created this mess by announcing the new rule in June. That's the big thing for me. The class of 2022 got screwed, and the committee member comment, and the NCAA could use some positive PR in addressing what appears to be injustice in the entire class. Yeah, sorry, I didn't quite follow one sentence you wrote there, but I do agree. They created the mess. They crapped their own bed, and again, it was late June when they announced it. So, and as attorneys told me, not including the 2022 class and allowing them a fifth year is arbitrary in some respects. I think the concern is obviously over guys on the existing roster, including high school commits that could be shoved out, which if teams do that, that's effed up. And I hope Syracuse hasn't done that. I don't believe they have. But that is not cool. But I feel you, Kenny. My man Brant writes, just some food for thought concerning this new court ruling over the weekend. Anytime something makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, my father always told me to follow the money. This whole thing stinks and has that political feel to me. We all know how politics work. I truly believe that somewhere, somehow, somebody's making money. I know this is conjecture on my part, but 95% of the time my father was right. Can someone please make it make sense? It doesn't make sense, Brant. And certainly some attorneys are making out, but I don't think, attorneys are maliciously trying to prey on college athletes. The NCAA, I feel like they first talked about, it's been talked about for a while, but I don't know if they made some sort of announcement about it right after the NCAA tournaments in early or mid-April. But again, it was approved in late June. Certainly I could understand if the NCAA was trying to protect existing rosters, especially incoming freshmen, if 2022 guys and gals got a fifth season and came in and took their roster spots. But otherwise, it does seem kind of arbitrary, and as attorneys have told me, most of this, if not all this mess, could have been avoided if they just granted him a fifth year. Maybe there would have been some lawsuits anyway from 2021 guys or whoever else, and I know some there was a COVID year too. I mean, it's not a perfect science here, but it's it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. So I agree with you and your dad, Brant. Peace Love says the line has been obliterated. Look, for decades, the NCAA has allowed European pros and semi-pros to sign with college teams here stateside. Exactly. That's my point. What's the difference between European pros making, not making over the actual and necessary expenses? How's that different than a G League guy or an NBA guy or whatever? So it's difficult the Peace Love writes, it's difficult to find a solution here while also protecting the NCAA's idea of amateurism, given the fact that it was basically monetary compensation that separated pros from amateurs. Exactly. And then he said, I like both Hughes and Swider. Swider credits SU on getting his career back on track. He loves the school and the program. He definitely does. Rooting for our alums. I'll try and check out the FIBA World Qualifiers. Yup. And he talked about NIL and some other stuff and SMU and the death penalty. It's a mess. Thanks, peace, love. Love you, brother. Wayne, my man Wayne writes, the NCAA are the ones that really screwed this up. They could have put in a couple little sentences to fix this for everybody. Entering this year, you get 5 years, no red shirts, no injuries, 5 years straight up across the board. And then what do we do with our lacrosse guys? I think a couple of them are already playing for pro teams. I'd still want them back in a heartbeat. And there shouldn't be no hating. I said I like JJ Starling, just want him back. Once you bled orange, you should be good. Exactly. I said that too. And in terms of the lacrosse guys, I honestly don't know what the latest is. I'll have to see if I can get some info. That's definitely not my area of expertise. Like I've said in the past, definitely follow Brent Axe. He covers Syracuse lacrosse pretty extensively. But yeah, in terms of a guy like JJ Starling, he had a crappy senior year. I don't know what's going on in this shot. When he was added to the California injunction and it looked like he wanted a 5th year, I flat out said I don't want him back, but also that they don't have a roster spot for him anyway, but I wish him well, and he seems like a good young man, and go crush it somewhere else. That's all you got to say, right? Not, oh, he sucked and he's garbage and bleh. It's like, just whatever. We don't want him back. He's not going to come back. Let's go crush it somewhere else. And if he plays Syracuse, whatever team he's on, I hope he scores 75 points and Syracuse wins. All right, my friends, that's going to do it for today's edition of Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can like us and review us there. Again, much love to Kalshi for sponsoring Syracuse Central. Have a great Monday, friends. I'll talk to you again on Tuesday. Take care. Love y'all.